typical recycling industries obviously need a lot of electricity.
Correct.
They might, if not taken proper care, they create water pollution, soil pollution.
Yeah.
So I did not want to do that. And at that same point in time, I also overcame the whole activity of handicraft.
Yes.
So then I started
Yeah.
researching what are the kinds of crafts which can use the village women and plastic waste and can be
upcycle it.
merged together. Handloom and charkha have always been a part of our tradition.
Yes.
So that was never a problem. But using waste, and that also the single-use plastic which people have actually thrown away in such a ridiculous form.
Exactly.
That was the problem. So to make people understand that you're going to make fabric with waste plastic. But what is that waste plastic? How is it going to be? Is it clean or not? Is it sorted or not?
Yeah.
Those were the biggest challenges which we had to convince the people who are going to work with us.
Hi everyone, this is Sayalee Marathe from House of Aadyaa and welcome to the episode 3 of Generation 1. This is season 2 and we are meeting really interesting entrepreneurs. What is special about this season is we are going to their offices or facilities where they actually create what they're trying to create and make a difference. And today, where we are is making a huge difference. I have loved this concept and this venture from day one since I actually kind of bumped into my friend. Meet Amita Deshpande of ReCharkha. And we are here at their facility in Bhor, in a village near Bhor, where we are going to talk to Amita about her journey, the concept itself. I'm sure a lot of viewers have already seen the ReCharkha products, but today I'm actually going to start with Amita and literally dive into the concept first. Amita, welcome to Generation 1. Thank you for taking out time. And it is wonderful to be here. It feels really nice to see because I've already heard so much about this place since its conception. And to come here and to experience this is amazing. So for all our viewers who are watching you and ReCharkha for the first time, let's start with the concept of what we are trying to do here.
So what we do is upcycle plastic waste. So we all know plastic waste is a big problem. We keep seeing garbage everywhere. And there are some of the plastic waste items which actually do not get recycled.
Yes.
Or rather are very difficult to recycle, such as your plastic bags, wrappers, especially the ones that have a aluminum layer from inside.
Yes.
Because they are MLP, multi-layered packets. So those are very difficult to recycle, and hence we are upcycling them using a very interesting technique, which is our traditional charkha and handloom and
Yes.
our latest origami basketry technique. So we upcycle all of this plastic waste and then we make beautiful products. Yeah. And most importantly, we, like you rightly said, we are in a village. So we are looking at rural employment, especially women, because we want to create livelihoods in villages. Cities have a lot of employment opportunities.
Correct.
Villages don't. So we are trying to, create, conserve the environment, create livelihoods in rural areas, as well as revive our traditional charkha.
Yes.
And hence ReCharkha.
So I think we've addressed so many things that we are going to go one by one in this. My first question is, Amita is an engineer. We are from the same college, same batch. Then you did your MS.
Yes.
And instead of taking up the route where you take up a job and then settle somewhere outside India or in India, why did you choose to work on this thing? Was the entire mindfulness about upcycling or recycling or plastic or in general sustainability, was it part of your life? How I actually want to understand the germ of where this started from, because you went out to do your MS. So tell us about that journey where you shifted the focus to this.
Yes. So plastic, or rather garbage, was always at the back of my mind since childhood, really speaking. So where everybody in the textbook reads, somewhere or the other, we all come across that what is degradable, what is non-degradable.
Yes.
and then we forget about it. Or we
Like
don't
all
know
of
how
us.
to,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say forget,
Yeah.
but like we don't know how to incorporate it in our own lives.
True.
So, but I kept that going since I knew that plastic is not degradable, or rather single-use plastic should not be used. I kept that imbibed in my own lifestyle. But I never knew that this could be a career. I
Yeah.
always kept it at the hobby level. So I went for cleanup drives, fort or mountain cleanup drives, river
Yes.
cleanup drives.
Yes.
Went and did multiple things in this area, but I did not know that this could be a career. And so I went on to do my engineering in
Yes.
Cummins. And at the end of engineering, I got a job. I started working in an IT company. I went to the US for my further education.
Yes.
But while going to the US, I wanted to finally venture into the field that I was really interested in, which
Correct.
was the social sector,
Right.
or rather the eco-social sector.
Right.
So I always had that in the back of my mind. That's why when I took up my courses, I purposely took up courses in sustainable development.
Oh, you did?
Corporate.
As part of your postgraduate?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So though it was a
Interesting.
generic management degree that I had started studying, but there were options of taking electives. So I took up
Right.
electives in corporate social responsibility, sustainable development, and then at the end of it, I also purposely applied for those kind of jobs. So there were
Nice.
other opportunities, but I purposely selected only those roles where this was a possible
Correct.
career option. And I started working there. I was working in Chicago with a company which was into CSR consulting for large multinationals. And that's when,
Correct.
after working there for 3 years, I always had in the back of my mind that I finally wanted to come to India
Yeah.
and settle in a village. Because I come from Dadra Nagar Haveli,
Yes.
which is a tribal area, and I always loved to be in the nature, outdoors, forest area.
Correct.
So that was always in the back of my mind. So after 3 years, I decided that I'll come back.
We'll come back.
But without a specific plan that what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So all of this happened later.
Yeah. So you came back to your hometown?
Yes.
And tell us as to how actually this idea came about. That you actually upcycle plastic in this particular way. You use a loom or you use a charkha. And how did that story go?
So when I was researching as to what I want to do, I took up, it was more of consulting projects that I continued to do in India also.
Yeah.
And there were 2-3 problems that came up to my mind while doing all of this research. So one was the problem of waste management.
Yeah.
And especially the waste that does not get recycled, that usually is dumped and nobody uses it.
Yeah.
So that was point number 1. Point number 2 was rural employment. Because I come from a rural area, rather I lived in the town of Silvassa, but there were so many tribal villages around us, which I realized did not have an employment opportunity.
Yeah.
So something to do with the villages in the village, and especially with
and
the
not
women.
leave and come to the
Correct.
areas.
Migration was a big problem.
Yeah.
So how can I work towards that? And I did not want to set up like a big factory or something where whatever I do will create another problem or another pollution.
Yeah.
So typical recycling industries obviously need a lot of electricity.
Correct.
They might, if not taken proper care, they might create water pollution, soil pollution.
Yeah.
So I did not want to do that. And at that same point in time, I also overcame the whole activity of handicraft.
Yes.
So then I started researching what are the kinds of crafts which can use the village women and plastic waste and can be merged together. So that's where that entire marriage happened, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning. So there were various crafts that I did research on.
Correct.
We zeroed down on handloom and charkha because to a large extent it is a little faster than rest of the crafts. So the fabric can be made, though completely handmade.
Yeah.
The fabric can be made and then it can be used to make other items.
So yes, I do understand that you did some research, but actually doing some research, finalizing on an idea, and then actually implementing that is a long process. So when you actually met people, did you get this response where they were like, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to use handloom and charkha to create fabric and out of plastic? did you get those questions? How did you kind of put that concept with people who were going to probably be the pioneers with you to kind of experiment on this?
So handloom and charkha have always been a part of our tradition.
Yes.
So that was never a problem. But using waste, and that also the single-use plastic which people have actually thrown away in such a ridiculous form,
Exactly.
that was the problem. So to make people understand that you're going to make fabric with waste plastic, but what is that waste plastic? How is it going to be? Is it clean or not? Is it sorted or not?
Yeah.
Those were the biggest challenges which we had to convince the people who are going to work with us.
Exactly. Because
And
cleaning process, I have seen a lot of videos. Cleaning process is a big part of this, because when you're trying to make a product, you have to, of course, clean all of it and then start working on a charkha. A lot of people do not know about what all plastic can be upcycled using this, because I was also really surprised when one day I was picking up a bag and she said it's the old cassettes. And I said, what? So I think for people, for the starters who have not, come across this concept, we need to actually kind of discuss all the kinds of plastics that one we use without any thought process. And then what all can be upcycled. I know that there is, of course, there is plastic bags that we use. That's the
Correct.
most obvious thing. And there are wrappers,
yes,
food wrappers. But you need to tell us about the rest of the material that I know is a
Yes.
huge list.
yes. So plastic bags are actually banned,
Yeah.
but they are still being used. So ideally, not using them. We don't need them. That
Yeah.
is what I always
Yeah.
say. So that is number one. Wrappers of all kinds, because everything in our households nowadays comes in plastic. So be
Yes.
it our food, be it detergents, be it anything and everything that we buy has
Yeah.
some or the other wrapper. And multi-layered packets also, as well as clear plastics also.
Correct.
Those also we use. We upcycle them, and like you said, we use the old cassette tape reels.
Yes.
So they are either the video cassette reels or
Correct.
audio cassette reels.
Audio
and
cassette
they are,
reels.
People have kept them as memories. So many people,
Yeah.
and they do not want to throw them away. But now they've found a safe place to give it
Exactly.
and make them into something interesting.
Yeah. So I think some unimaginable things that people thought that they just need to dump somewhere are getting remade into a lot of things. I have personally had bags, pouches from you guys,
You have everything.
like from day one. But there are a lot of new products that I keep seeing. And we also need to talk about all the products that you've been trying to make, like with the origami thing also. You've tried to make baskets. There are pots
Yes.
that you've made. There are bags, there are pouches. What are the other products that have been created under ReCharkha?
So they primarily, I would say, 4 different categories of products that we have. Of course, totes and bags are all-time favorite.
Most popular. Yes.
Most popular. But then that's number one. And then there are slings and pouches and little purses.
Utility bags.
Utility bags for men and women.
Yeah.
Then we have our laptop and electronic cases section, in which we have so many other items which, again, men and women can use for office utility. And we have home decor products.
Yes.
And in home decor products, again, we have laundry baskets, planters, very beautiful glow pots that we have. We have lampshades that have recently been launched. Table mats, table runners. So basic home and office
cushion
decor.
covers. I have them too.
Cushion covers.
Yes. So I think we have kind of covered as to what is being used and how it is being converted to these things which can be used in day-to-day life. Now, of course, there's this beautiful thought of upcycling. But there must have been a transition where your passion and this project that you had taken up took a form of a business, because running a business, and I know for the fact that you come from a family where business is like, there are people who've done businesses, including your father, but still something like this, which is completely new, you do not have a lot of market research available about this field. What was the moment when you thought that this could be something that can be turned into a business?
So anything and everything has to earn money, otherwise it
Of
is
course.
unsustainable.
Yes.
So originally when I started, I wanted to start it as an NGO. Okay.
Non-profit.
So in my mind, I had that, oh, this is a cause and this is how it should work and it should be a non-profit entity.
Yes.
But then I started realizing that if I were as an NGO, I had to constantly depend on external support.
Yes.
Right? That donations, grants, and if in some way or the other the grants stop coming in, then what?
Yeah.
So I had to come up with an idea that whatever we make should be sellable, should be designed in such a way, should be materialized in such a way so that there is public demand for it,
Yes.
market demand for it.
Yeah.
And only when we make a product which has a market demand, it becomes sustainable.
Yes.
In the real sense, because like we all know, sustainability is environment sustainability, social
Everything.
and economically
Yes.
sustainable.
Yes.
So only if it is economically sustainable will my women get employment, will the plastic waste get upcycled.
Yes.
So that was the whole idea. That's how the business angle came in.
Yeah. And it was about selling products. So of course it had to be a D2C venture also, because there's a website that we have on which we sell, and there were exhibitions. I actually want to take you back a bit and go back to your first few exhibitions. I've been to one of them.
And you had organized one of them.
Yes, I had organized one of them. I actually want to go back there and tell me about the initial reactions that people got, because a lot of people, whenever I've gifted them something from you, they love how it looks, and then I say this is upcycled plastic, and then, oh, where is plastic in this? So what have been your reactions from different people? I'm sure there is this segment of people who are so aware about sustainability, because I'll tell you what happens is in normal as in people who do not have that kind of awareness, or people who have not studied sustainability in detail, we usually are limited to segregating plastic, dry and wet waste, and we do that happens at a household level. But beyond that, there is not much that people can do. But with your venture, I think I've seen a lot of people also ask me the next logical question as to, can we donate the plastic there? So I actually want to know your reactions, because I'm sure anybody who launches products, anybody who launches a business, it mostly flies or takes up because there are people who appreciate the cause and who buy. So I want to know about that experience, that journey, and then we'll move on to the next phase.
Sure. So you're absolutely right. So when we first went to the market, okay, the idea, I had no idea how to sell it.
Yes.
But I somehow in my mind, I had, okay, we need to show that this is made from plastic waste. This is how it's made. So the how, the why, the what, all those questions should be answered.
Yes.
So that I had in my mind. And so the first few exhibitions, I had made some posters, sat back late in the night, made a video, if you remember.
Yes.
So the process video.
Yeah.
Because the first time, and like you rightly said, when the first time a person sees the product, it's impossible for them to believe that it's made from plastic.
Exactly.
So that video was very important. So I always had that video on the stall.
And I remember putting up all those waste plastic bags on the stall that you would put up, saying that these are the bags and see what we have made out of this.
And people for some reason have always they don't look at plastic waste. I think they've become oblivious to the fact that there's garbage on the streets and on our stalls. So when they used to be plastic, and the first question which I used to ask people coming to the stalls, and this is all before the website and social media started, right? So I always sold in person to get people's reaction.
Yes.
And whenever anybody comes to the stall, the first thing I asked them was that, can you guess what is this made of? And then people keep wondering, oh, this is made from gunny bags, or this is made from banana fiber, God knows what all
Everything.
Ideas people keep coming up with. And then I said that the hint is on the stall, and people are actually not even looking at the plastic waste.
Because it's so part of your life that you don't even think that
we've become blind to the fact that there is garbage. So I think that's how it works. And then when I showed them the entire process on the video, that's when people realized, oh, are you kidding? This is made from plastic waste, and there is so much of effort to convert this plastic waste into what it is right now. So, that much effort has been put in. by the team members who are making it, as well as the design team who are creating those beautiful designs from it.
Yes.
So that was like an aha moment for our visitors, and the initial visitors and initial buyers, like you rightly said,
they actually
were all
built your business. Yeah.
And they were our first circle.
Yeah.
And that is so important.
Yeah.
I always
Absolutely.
feel for any business or a social entrepreneur, it is extremely important that your first circle is actually supporting you.
Yeah, I think it applies to everybody who's starting on their own, because unless you have people who firmly believe in you, you're still kind of experimenting as to where should this business go, what should my venture look like, and all of that. So I think
it's important to keep your first circle close to you when you're starting something.
Yes.
You should keep them informed. You should make them participate. So my first models were all my sisters, my aunts.
Yes.
Or
I remember the pictures.
Buyers.
Yes. This is a question that I ask to every entrepreneur, and I'm going to ask the same question to you. Did you have this inhibition where you were, being ashamed is a wrong word to use, but there is this certain kind of inhibition where you know that you've made a great product, but then selling that product is a big problem sometimes, because what happens is we are also used to working on your machine and on your project, that actually breaking that wall, talking to people and telling them, please buy my product, see what I'm trying to make, even if there's a cause, even if you're trying to actually solve a problem. Did you have that inhibition? As much as I know you, I think you had that inhibition, because you were never a person who, a very outgoing person, or somebody who's very easy at selling or marketing. So did you have that journey as an entrepreneur?
So, but that's the reason I wanted to always keep it as a non-profit initiative to begin with.
Yeah.
Because there was always this inhibition that, I'm making a product, definitely the cause is there, but whether I want to sell it.
Yeah.
But then it was very important for me to do that. Otherwise, the business wouldn't have been self-sustainable.
Exactly.
So yes, there were inhibitions. I had to overcome it. And that's why I had all of this marketing material created, so that I don't have to talk much. But then of course, when a person comes in front of me, I do go blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. But you have to, because I think it also involves a lot of customer education when you're trying to do something completely new.
Yes.
Now when we see, there is a big workshop in Pune, there is a store in Pune, there's an office in Pune. We are here in Bhor at this facility, which is beautiful, big. And there's the first facility in your hometown in Silvassa, where it all started with, I think, just 4 or 5 people, or even lesser than that.
No, only 2 people.
Only 2 people. This entire journey, we want to know from you as to where we are right now and, where we started. Because I think that's the most crucial journey for every entrepreneur. And what happens after this is all dependent on how those years were spent.
Very true. And even before the Dadra Nagar Haveli unit, there was a unit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what had happened was, this was a new concept. So it was very difficult. Of course, like the buyers, even the makers had to be convinced.
Yeah.
Because they did not know what they were getting into.
Exactly.
So the first unit that I started was in a village near Pune, near Hinjewadi, actually.
Yes.
That was way back in 2015. And the person whom we started working with was a villager, and he had little space in his house. He was a farmer and a shepherd.
Yeah.
We started there, but then his villagers could not relate to the fact that they're going to work with waste.
Yeah.
And they had a little bit of a caste barrier. They were like, we're not going to work with garbage. We are of a higher caste, so we are not going to work on that.
Okay.
So it was a very, very eye opener for me that these are the problems.
This is going to be on the horizon always. Yeah.
So that person was ready. He did work for a few months, but then slowly his enthusiasm also went down. So the first 6-7 months, I would say, were sort of a failure.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah.
So I had
to call it a failure. I think let's say it was very challenging.
Yeah. It was a challenge. It was a challenge.
Yeah.
But that's when I realized that these are the things that could happen.
Yeah.
And in the first initial few times, whatever waste I used to get from waste pickers used to be very dirty. So that was also the reason why these people, and then I realized that garbage, yes, it is a problem, but if it is not segregated at source and if it is unclean, people are not going to work with it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the reason I started talking more about it on social media. We started making, Facebook reels, and not reels at that time, but videos.
Yes.
Facebook videos or posts telling people that don't, mix waste. All of that.
Yeah. Keep it clean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then at that same time, I had not started it in Dadra Nagar Haveli, but then my dad asked me that, do you want to start it here?
Yeah.
And, test out whether this is going to be successful or not. So he had a little farm outside the city of Silvassa, the town of Silvassa, in a tribal area. And it was a proper rural village, the kind of dream village where I wanted to work in.
Yeah.
So I immediately picked up that opportunity and set up two of the youths from the village. One of who is Kiran, who's still working with us.
Yes.
And he actually, his is a story of reverse migration. So he had moved to Silvassa to work in some restaurant.
Okay.
He came back and he started working with us, and he was very excited.
Now he runs the facility for you.
He is like the main supervisor for our unit. Yeah, so that's when it started. The loom were also very difficult to get. So this is the hand loom. And so people had stopped working on looms, right? So we got looms from a khandar, very old manufacturing unit, which was just lying empty with this bigger layer of dust on it. So I had to get it clean, get it set up, get it refurbished. Then who would train these guys? Because none of them, these are Warli tribals. They've never done weaving.
So there's skill development.
Gonna train. Then there was this very old man called Bhasme Kaka. I still remember him. He was like over 80-year-old, and he came and he started training these people.
Lovely.
So, very nice sort of stories initially. And then we got these two guys to get trained, and then we started hiring all the women from the village. So the initial was Kiran, but then his sisters, his mother, his aunts, everybody
from the community starts.
And then we set up the unit there. Of course, in parallel, market development was also going on. So, both the things had to go hand in hand.
Of course,
And since we were bootstrapped, we had to do
still
it.
Bootstrapped.
Yeah, still bootstrapped. So the whole process had to be done in such a way that market create karo, then make the product, then market create karo, make the product. Initially, we were outsourcing our tailoring. Then that
I remember that.
Then I started doing that in-house as well. So that tailoring unit I started in Pune because it was closer to the market. And we needed that market connection for the tailoring unit, because designs...
And you could have a little control over the quantity and everything.
And then we could come up with different designs, different patterns of the product making.
My question is about this entire training or skill development that you spoke about, which is probably 2-line this thing in the interview, but I think it's the most important part of this entire manufacturing unit as such, because how much time does it take for a person to actually kind of get skilled on a loom? And what is your process where you kind of, now we know that this facility also has more than 20 people, 23 women. So what is usually the cycle of training these people and then getting them to a level where they are, weaving it every day as part of their job?
So the overall training time is very long. Okay, so original weavers always used to have somebody from their families training them, right? So it was always a hereditary business.
Correct.
But this was completely new in the Warli village. They were going to learn weaving. So a completely different type of skill. So it took more than a year for us to actually set up the entire weaving process.
The initial workshop.
More than a year. So what would be the warp, for example? So now we have this recycled plastic.
This is also recycled.
This is made from PET bottles. Water and cold drink bottles.
Acha, so you also can recycle the, hard plastic which is used.
So we don't make that. That is
correct.
An industrial process. It's a texturizing unit.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
So
we were actually talking when we came here whether this is cotton. It feels like cotton, but nice. So this is also recycled plastic.
Correct. So all of this, that entire concept had to be set up. So it can't be that we are buying nylon from the market and then we are just weaving from it.
Correct.
Originally, I started working with cotton and then realized that let's do, plastic. Again, this yarn that we were getting from the factory was not in this form.
Oh.
There was one more process that had to be done again through a network. So then to get it twisted, to test the quality of the yarn, all of that was a thing. Then how to cut our plastic wrappers, what kind of form it should be, what should be its thickness, what are the waste plastics that we cannot use, what should be its size, shape, colors, patterns.
I remember the small pieces. You've already made a video about that don't cut corners and don't waste those small pieces because you can't recycle or upcycle them.
Exactly. So small pieces, sachets, we cannot recycle, we cannot upcycle.
Have you minimized the time of the training now here?
Yeah, so now it got reduced because the trained people came here.
Train the trainer. Yeah. Correct.
So now it is easy. So here also it took 6-7 months for us to set up. But again, their speed is still not at the level of the tribals in that.
Yeah, because they are now experienced for what, 6 years, 7 years?
8 years.
8 years. So of course there will be a difference.
Yes.
But so nice. How did you think of putting up a facility like this, where I know that there are other initiatives also, which is going to be my next question. But how did you think of this facility? I think the first reason is logistical, because Silvassa was quite far from Pune. But we want to know about the journey of this one also. We just got to know that you're building another bigger facility here itself. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We want to know about this because this is completely sustainable. The build quality is also entirely. So tell us about this.
So right from childhood, or rather when I was in the US, I always had in my mind that I want to make a sustainable village. Okay, not necessarily the entire village, which is definitely still a dream.
Yeah.
But in a small place, which could be like 1-2 acres of land, make demonstrations of various aspects of sustainable development, which people can actually come and learn from. So that is what this land was bought for. Again, thanks to my parents who helped us, get access to this place. And we initially started with our workshop so that we start pulling in the right kind of resources firstly. So started with the upcycling unit here, weaving unit here. Also, a lot of people from Pune wanted to come and visit and see our place. So it was difficult for them to go to the Dadra Nagar Haveli unit. Our design team had difficulty in accessing it. So all of them used to come here and set it up. The construction also, I had put my foot down that I want to make it in a sustainable way only. So this building is made of bamboo. So the raw material is made, the structure is made of bamboo. Bricks and beer bottles, waste beer bottles. So we've used those. And instead of cement, we've used lime.
Oh.
Yeah, so tuna. Because as all of us know, older buildings were always made with tuna and they were more durable. Like many of the old vadas are still around. So not necessarily that cement concrete is the best way. So that even the windows here that you see behind are from an old clubhouse dismantled near my house. So a friend of mine actually asked whether you want to use those. So the building is sustainable. We're not using cement or any other kind of non-biodegradable composite material. The property has more than 80 different native species of plants. So whatever starts is the ecosystem, right? So we have to develop the ecosystem because this place was totally barren. So all native species from the Western Ghats, from Indian subcontinent, we've planted those. We've also set up a small, tiny home to talk about the
lovely
concept.
home.
So if we reduce our own footprint, living footprint, everything can come down. So that entire minimalistic lifestyle, which I talk about, I can be a hypocrite here because I'm also selling products, but then the products are
but see,
supporting that journey.
So that's what my next question was, that there is this workshops and tourism that you arrange for here, where people actually are coming and trying to understand how they can contribute to this cause. See, all of us are sure that not every person who has other career, who has other responsibilities can do this full time. But you are taking workshops where you making people understand as to they can, take off some time of their daily routine and contribute to this. First, as you always say, that reduce the usage. do not use plastic as much as you can. Do not use plastic. But whenever it is inevitable, what can you do with it? How can you separate it? How can you clean it up and then give it to us and we'll upcycle it? So I actually want to know about the two parts which are part of the same brand. So ReCharkha has one part where you are actually selling the products. And I always have told you that you don't have to feel guilty about it, because unless
Yes.
you do that, you will not be able to kind of freely move into the second part of the business, which I think is way closer to your heart, where you actually educate a lot of kids now and a lot of human beings on how to live a sustainable lifestyle. And that's the NGO that you're still running. So I want to know how both things are complementary to each other.
So the products line is clear, right? We are making products using the Charkha handloom, blah, 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 and then the entire product is made and the product is sold. Part of the products, rather a large part of the products, are straightly going to the people who are making it, creating the social aspect and the livelihoods angle of it.
Correct.
And so that in that sense, we were already doing a lot of non-profit activity in that way.
Yes.
But if
without calling it a social venture.
Exactly.
That part of
Correct.
the business.
So whatever people are buying, our products are getting bought by so many different individuals. They are getting appreciated by so many different individuals in India as well as globally. It's now getting fueled by people.
Yes.
So that is one angle, and the business is now set. The other angle is the non-profit angle, which I started later.
Yeah.
And that was primarily towards education, and not education in the sense of school education, but educating the educated.
I think awareness
generation and educating the educated.
Yes.
Because children are already quite aware, because they are nowadays in their syllabus in their schools are being taught about sustainable living and not using garbage. But elders are still in that zone that they are always looking towards some kind of convenience. Their lifestyle is all about convenience. So what can be done in their convenient lifestyles in very little time that they can give to all of these things? How can they make changes in their lifestyle?
Correct.
So the very easy thing is that when you're putting your waste itself, you have 3 dustbins in front of you. So at that 1 second of a moment, you have to just think, which dustbin should I put this garbage in? Then whether I have a garbage bag, do I use a liner or not? So ideally, no liner is needed. You can just wash off your dustbins. Because the liner, once gets contaminated, can't be reused again. Or recycled again. Composting. It takes maybe a few minutes to first set the compost up in the initial stage. But every day you take 1 minute to actually put garbage.
It's just that little time.
Only 1 minute.
You
put the waste, you stir it, and you're done. That's it. So, these are simple things that you have to, make changes in your lifestyle. When you're going shopping, what should you shop? What kind of packaging you should choose for?
What bags you carry.
What bags you carry. You can always, so I always show this, in my sustainable living workshop demonstrations, that a cloth bag folded up takes less space than your mobile phone.
Yes.
But we always carry our mobile phones with us and always forget that cloth bag. So how can you make these little changes? So that's the reason that NGO, we started 3-4 different workshops. So one is the experiential tours, where here in the village unit, people can come with their families, corporate employees, school students, and get experience in the whole upcycling process, as well as what we have.
Correct.
The different demonstrations that we have here. Secondly, in our Pune and Mumbai stores, we have sustainable living workshops where we teach people what they can do at home.
Correct.
Okay, so those are 2 to 3 hour workshops. And then the third are where we go to corporates or schools and we conduct sustainable living workshops there. So right now, these are the 3 different offerings that we have through our NGO, and we are supported by CSR folks now.
Correct.
And individual philanthropists. So now that is, because they see that there is value. They see what we've made. If we would have started without anything to show, maybe raising funds would have been difficult. But now they see there is a successful social enterprise.
Correct.
Then why not support it?
Why not support it? Yes. I think what I like the most about this entire concept is that you have never tried to deviate or have any shortcuts when it came to the cause. I've never seen you using cheaper resin belts in the bags. I've always seen you going for jutes or cotton belts or finding out such belts or getting them made. And so I think the entire um, non-profit part and the profit part goes hand in hand. Uh, Now there are a couple of questions that I'm going to ask you as an entrepreneur, because I think it's very important that an entrepreneur also lives the same life that he or she is talking about. And so I think that is something that I've always loved about how you also live your life. And do you sometimes feel that for a social entrepreneur who's upcycling, people have a certain view of looking at you, because I always feel like people think that this person is going to have, a very like a life which is like only about sustainability, or do you face that?
Sometimes, yeah,
Yes.
sometimes people do ask me
Yeah.
those questions, and of course, because it is ingrained in my behavior, that
Yeah.
is the lifestyle I anyways lived since childhood, even when I was not an entrepreneur.
Correct.
So for me, it's very simple that the changes were there, but then I did have to make changes later on also. For example, the kind of clothes I used to wear.
Yeah.
So I was always t-shirt and track pant person,
Yeah.
and a backpack person, and always used to wear all these polyester clothes. But since when I've
Yeah.
started realizing that this is how I'll create more impact, I started changing my lifestyle. I started making right kind of choices. But yes, people sort of then label you.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that is
typecast. Yeah, NGO people will always wear this
right,
and carry
right,
this
right.
kind of bags.
Right,
you know.
right.
So
That
I actually,
happens.
I've seen a lot of people like comment on people who like, "Arey, that is NGO feels" or whatever. So I actually wanted to ask you that question. Is there a specific reason why you've never taken funding, or you've never tried to raise money for the venture,
No,
or
no.
it is an organic decision that you've taken?
It has been an organic decisions. We recently converted our LLP company into a private limited company in order to raise funds. But we are looking for like-minded individuals.
Correct.
Because we are not, if there is some
Not in
funder
rush
who
to
comes,
yeah.
If a funder comes and that funder is only looking for profits,
2x, 3x, 4x, 10x.
then we might not want to work with that person. So we want impact investors who are interested in
I love
actually
that
the
word.
cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the cause is important, and
Yeah.
that person should also relate to the cause.
Yeah.
Only then it will become a synchronous, nice, teamwork together.
Yeah.
So at this stage, yes, we are looking for funders, both grants and donations for our NGO, as well as
And the main
funding
business
for
getting
ReCharkha.
funded for the D2C
Yes.
part of the business.
Yes, yes.
How has been the family with you, against you through this journey?
Different phases.
Yes.
So obviously, being an engineer,
Exactly.
settled in the US with a very, very high
Lucrative
paid
job. Yes.
in a city like Chicago, everything is just nice and rosy.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this person decides to come back. And I had always kept telling them that I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
But I think they never thought, it didn't sink
that she'll
into
actually
them.
come back.
So my parents, my in-laws, my husband, all of them were like, Ago, are you really serious? You're going to come back?
Yeah.
You're going to quit? I was like, yes, I am. So I took up a job in India before I came.
So that,
left.
yeah.
I said, no, I have a job. So that's why I'm coming back to India. And Abhishek, my husband, that time he was like, I'm sure you're going to come back. So I will stay. Then he didn't come with me.
Oh.
In the initial days, he
Yeah.
was like, I'll wait here. Maybe you'll change your mind and you'll come back to the US. I was like, that's never going to happen. And then that's how after 2-3 months he had to move back to India. And then he also, now he's my partner.
Part of your business. Yes.
So 3-4 years ago he joined ReCharkha full time as well. But that time everybody was not very happy about the fact. Rather they did not know what I'm going to do. So because everything was so new and so different. And again, like rightly we earlier said, I come from a business family.
Yes.
And this is not a real business as such, right?
Yes.
It's not only about the bottom line.
Yeah.
It is about a triple bottom line.
Yeah.
So making everybody understand that, my parents, but of course everybody were the first pillars and they were my supporters. They are still my supporters.
Yeah.
So family has been with me in the entire
Even
journey.
friends too, I think. I've seen a lot of your friends
Yes.
always being around you.
Yes. Very close
supporting the-
friends. Or many of my close friends are also shareholders in ReCharkha now.
Correct.
And it's actually a journey of all of us together.
Yeah.
Like, I really am thankful and
Yeah.
grateful to all of you guys who have been a part of this journey.
Of course. Another question I wanted to ask you is, because you are in a venture where you are making products, how important is the designing and the innovation part of it? Because I've seen so much of innovation in your products, from the simpler totes to the designer bags and the clutches. And I mean, you've been making really wonderful products in last 2.5 years. I think it's changed a lot. So tell us about that part where you are constantly innovating and design, and you're focusing on designing also. Because what happens is, usually if you're doing something for the cause, the creativity part takes a backseat. But here I see a proper balance of that innovation, creativity, and then creating a product for a cause.
Very true. Initially, we were doing only very basic bags, okay?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to just see whether people are buying into the concept first.
Yes.
And then slowly, we started hiring design interns and full-time designers.
Yeah.
And everybody contributed to come up with different products. Because no matter what, we were actually addressing the fashion segment.
Yes, it is.
And the fashion segment keeps changing.
Yeah.
It needs to change. There is no option. So that's why we have to come up with new products. And simultaneously, we also had to come up with new crafts. So the handloom Charkha was one craft. The other craft which we've recently introduced is the origami basketry.
Yeah.
The origami basketry craft is something that we've now recently introduced. So we are trying to expand and come up with new crafts, trying to incorporate different things. Like our lampshades have also a very interesting aspect of pottery in it.
Yes.
So the base of the lampshade is pottery.
Is a pottery. Yeah.
So we are trying to incorporate all these different traditional handicrafts together to make something.
Yeah. Where you started, I think. Where you started from the entire research of doing, checking out all the handicrafts.
Trying to get that whole bara balutedar system back.
Yes.
I think that's what we should all do. You're a part of it too.
I'm a part of it. Small part of it, but I'm also a part of it. Yeah. We're coming to the end of the interview, but there are a couple of things I think I want to know as a friend and of course as part of Generation One. How long do you plan to kind of be with ReCharkha as a founder? What are your expansion plans? Do you someday want to become a part of a bigger company which takes it to global level, or even like nationally you want to take it to multiple metros? And what are your expansion plans and what direction?
I definitely want to remain a part of ReCharkha
always,
and this entire concept always, because it has always been a part of my life.
Yeah.
So this is life. Okay. So being a founder, being a part of the baby's journey is always important. You can never leave that. Secondly, in terms of expansion, like we were talking about, there are two aspects to it.
Yes.
The NGO aspect, yes, definitely I want to expand it further. We are taking up waste management projects in rural areas like the Tadoba initiative, which we've been working on, as well as these educational activities. That is one, and we want to expand it largely because that is the whole aim of ReCharkha.
That's the impact that you want to create.
Yeah, that's the aim, that we want people to change their lifestyle.
Correct.
Like, wo maine thaan liya hai. So that is one. And of course, the ReCharkha as a business, we want to grow it. We want to take it to places globally, India also. And we want to come up with different products which are also essential commodities as well as fashion products. So we want to expand that market and use different channels of the market, be it the online or offline channel, corporate gifting channel. So yes, we want to grow. We could remain independent, or we could become a part of a larger organization that we still haven't figured out or not even thought about it yet. But if we definitely get good opportunities, why not?
You'd like to do
always.
My last question to you is about it's just 6 points. 3 of these points are things you would tell the first generation entrepreneurs who are watching, who are planning to create something, or who have just started creating something, or who have probably faced some challenging times and are still looking and hoping to create a better venture, because this entire concept of Generation One is about creating hope. We started this in COVID, as you know. A lot of people gave up their businesses in COVID, and we thought that I think the most important thing for an entrepreneur is to get up every day and have this hope that something will work out, something will get better, something will get bigger. So we want to create hope through this. So we want you to quickly tell people 3 things as an entrepreneur that they should never do, and 3 things as an entrepreneur that they should definitely do. So we'll start with things they shouldn't do, and then we'll go to 3 things that they should do.
So, of course, don't give up. If
Yeah.
you've chosen a path, you should stick to it and don't give up.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing that I feel an entrepreneur should never do really is to keep comparing with others.
Yeah.
As in, yes, comparison is needed
Extremely
because you need
important.
to understand where you are. But looking at other people and then trying to compare actually sometimes deviates you from
Yeah.
where you were headed, right? And thirdly, also think about we should not, like initially also I said that I did not want to set up a recycling industry which was creating some other kind of pollution. So no matter what you choose, always ensure that you're not creating a different impact, like a negative impact.
Yeah.
Yes, you're trying to solve a problem, but you're also creating a negative impact to that problem.
Yeah.
So I think that is important.
So do not give up. First one. Second was never compare with any other venture. And third is, while you're trying to create your business, do not create a problem, which is any kind of problem, sustainability or any sort of issue.
True.
So amazing. So these 3 things I think are amazing tips for all the entrepreneurs. Now we want to know what are 3 things that all the entrepreneurs must do if they want to run a successful business.
They are sort of related to the earlier one. So
Yes.
be consistent.
Absolutely. With you
no
on that.
matter what.
Yeah.
Like you rightly said, when you wake up in the morning, you have to gather yourself.
Show
Even
up.
if in difficult times, you have to show up. And in such a scenario, the team always helps.
Oh, yes.
And especially when I'm in the village, when I wake up here and I look at the women who have, whose life has been impacted so much because of this venture, it really creates a positive impact on yourself.
Yeah.
And that keeps you going.
Absolutely.
Secondly, always have your near and dear ones around you.
Yeah.
So never go into a silo.
Yeah.
Because sometimes entrepreneurs are so focused in business, that they forget about family, friends, everybody.
Yeah.
But I think in our kind of work, or rather every business, we should always have our near and dear ones, because they are your support system.
Correct.
They are your pillars.
Yeah.
And the third and most important thing is have a very holistic picture. So especially if you're starting up with a social enterprise, it's important that you think about a entire picture. You're not just trying to solve one problem.
Correct.
You have other things associated with it, and you have to look at the other things. Like if I'm creating a bag made of recycled, upcycled plastic, but I'm using resin belts, or I'm using unsustainable nylon lining or polypropylene lining, which many people are using today, it's not serving the purpose.
So the ecosystem.
It has to be an ecosystem. It's especially that's what we're creating here in our Bhor village unit. We're creating an entire system, the wastewater treatment plant, the garbage system, everything is a part of it. And yes, that's how it should be.
So 3 amazing takeaways. I think consistency is the most important one. I love when people are consistent and they show up every day. Amita, we want to thank you on the behalf of Team Aadyaa and Generation 1 team that you actually took out this time and you shared this entire journey with us. And I think this is just the beginning.
Yes.
And there's a lot more that you need to do. There's a lot of more people that you need to reach out to. And we will always hope that a lot of people become part of this cause and a lot of people contribute to this. Thank you so much for being on the 3rd episode of season 2 of Generation 1. And we look forward to your expansion plans in next few years. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Thanks to your entire team for always being a support to us.
Thank you.